People don't do too much testing. They do it once, they do it twice, be done with it. No, as many times as it's required. Yes, it is expensive, but it is worth every penny to know what the customers want. I go to the canteen at lunchtime. I'll have the prototype on my phone, not on the laptop. I'll have it on my phone because it's always there with me. I'll get people to just, can you do this from A to B? I don't know about other people, but I can talk about my own pitfalls. I am not great at numbers. Yeah. I try. I have been trying. I have improved quite a bit, but I'm still not like great or good at it. So I can analyze reports all I want, but I could be making all of the wrong reaching out. Once I realize the power of reaching out to people, even if they're not the right people, they will redirect me to the right.
Let's talk about common mistakes like people make on the three skills you mentioned: prototyping, information architecture, and reading numbers. So let's start with the prototypes. What do you think are the common mistakes people make while prototyping and how to avoid those mistakes?
Apart from jumping directly into high fidelity, I think people narrow down on solutions really quickly. Okay, I tried two options, I tried three options. I like this one the best. Great. In prototype, you already have the journey mapped out as part of the information architecture. The kind of improvement that you want, where you need to lead them, how many steps you can reduce in the journey that's adding friction for the customer. But then when you're doing that, you need to also understand that people who are going through the journey, yeah, maybe they want all of those steps. Yeah. We are making our own hypothesis on what we think the journey needs to be. Testing and iterating is all part of the process. Before you show it to the stakeholders and they go, "Ooh, this is what we want." And then the customers, "No, wait, I still have a problem with this." You don't want that to be happening. So as you work, let's just stay on the wireframe stage. You're making your wireframes, you're prototyping, you're testing. You're iterating the wireframe, you're testing. You're iterating the wireframe, you're testing. Now, if you want to add animations or let's say micro transitions in there, do that in the prototype, but also test it. Yeah. If you're looking for any specific animation, like the card filling up with numbers or highlighting that the card has something in it, test those before you showcase it to your stakeholders. And when you go to your stakeholders, don't say this is the final thing. They were like, what? You showcase to them that right now, this is how our cart is. These are the options that we tried. These are these are the prototypes we tested with. These are the feedback that we received, and this is the final one we landed on. That will help make your case so strong that stakeholders are going to either they're going to be opinionated and say, "I don't think so," but then you can backtrack it that by saying we did these many user tests, this is what customers have come back with, and this is what we should go with. Then they'll go, okay, let's try it out. Yeah. So try and iterate, try and test as you go. People don't do too much testing. They do it once, they do it twice, be done with it. No, as many times as it's required. Yes, it is expensive, but it is worth every penny to know what the customers want.
I have a question because I do, even from my own experience, right? Sometimes I try to test like within the colleagues or not, definitely. But still, there is a constraint called time, and there is also political thing. No, we are not sharing to the external thing. We have to be perfect because it's going to create a bad impression, even though it's just a test. So, how do you deal with that type of situations? Like you're not allowed to share even within the company.
You're not allowed to share within the company.
Within the company too, yeah, with other teams. How do you deal with those type of situations if you run into?
I'll still go and get people to test it within the company because personally, I would still go and do it. Because if I'm not able, so there are two things here. Either you're getting enough customers or your users to try it out for you, and give you feedback, or else no customers and you have to rely on just people within your company to give you feedback. Your own company cannot be limited only to your team or to the specific team that's working on that particular project. Because when you think about things like accessibility, including fat finger syndrome for one, color blindness, all of these, it's there. People who work around us have these problems. So, would it work for them if you're not able to have face to face conversations with your customers? If you're not able to do any online user tests either, because the company doesn't want the ideas to go out, you have to go and explore and get feedback from people within your company. Personally, I still go out. I'll go to the canteen at lunchtime. I'll have the prototype on my phone, not on the laptop. I'll have it on my phone because it's always there with me. I'll get people to just, can you do this from A to B? I will observe them, make my own notes. Thank you very much. What do you think about this? That's it. That's all I need. I'm not telling them what we are working on. I'm not telling them this is the change we are making, why we are making nothing. Can you just go from here to here? And how was your journey? Done. And I'm taking notes. That's it. They don't need to know. But I've never faced a situation where I have not been allowed within the company to go and test with people. So I have been absolutely open to say, we are trying to make this improvement, but sorry, test it out and then tell them that we are going to make this improvement. What did you think? Then they'll give really honest feedback.
So the next thing is you mentioned about information architecture, like slash customer journey still combined. So what are the common mistakes did you see people making and how to avoid them?
I think when you start with the info architecture map, it's usually very high level. Yeah. Point A to B to C to D. Yeah. Okay. Smartbox, it was the buyer journey, buyer from buyer to beneficiaries. We have a little loophole as to we don't know who is getting the gifts, etc. And then we go full beneficiaries journey. So it was A to B, a little loophole. So we go C to D. Yeah. So building out that journey on a very high level is very easy. It's just, I'm buying and gifting it to you. You go register and do the experience. That's it. But when you start digging deeper and taking, okay, the app has onboarding, which is 5 screens with limited to no information, and it is then we have the home page, then we have this feature, then we have this feature, and you start mapping it out. You actually begin to realize how long the journey is. And that's why it takes people so much time to go from point A to finishing the goal. Yeah. So mistakes, I would say, is not, it's just sticking to the high level and say, oh, we are just improving the buyer journey. Yes, but which aspects of the buyer journey, which pain point are you trying to solve within that journey? People don't map out on information architecture. You need to highlight it there. It becomes so much easier to explain it to your own stakeholders and to the tech team as to where you want to focus the improvement on and why. That's one of the biggest one. We don't go into enough detail in info architectures.
So the last one is data understanding, reading numbers. Because one of the challenge is it depends upon the way you see the numbers. They say like numbers change the shape of water.
Okay.
It's going to give you a different answer. So what are the common mistakes like people making and how to avoid those like pitfalls, I would say?
I don't know about other people, but I can talk about my own pitfalls. I am not great at numbers. Yeah. I try. I have been trying. I have improved quite a bit, but I'm still not like great or good at it. So I can analyze reports all I want, but I could be making all of the wrong assumptions. The biggest thing is when people think that they know numbers and they're like, yeah, this is it. What I'm saying is the truth. Okay. But then people who don't know how to read numbers and they find one little anomaly and they're like, I found it. I found how we can improve it. No, don't do that. Get in your team members to actually have a look to validate your findings. Maybe it is wrong. Maybe, there's a different way to look at it. Maybe your math isn't right. Yeah. Maybe the way that you're perceiving the journey on where that information is being taken from is incorrect. Maybe it's a different part of the journey. So you need to have an understanding of what data you're finding or what you're looking for and focus in on that. Get not reaching out to people who can help you make sense was the biggest mistake that I have done. Why, when I started to look at numbers and I was quite interested in this really snazzy data platforms, I want to be able to read numbers as well. I just went in, I started digging, and I'm just making my own damn hypotheses. And they're like, but Pav, have you considered this? Have you considered that? So if these two line up, how do your numbers match up to that? Like it doesn't fit right. So you need to reach out to people to make sense. And the fact that that's also validation on your own growth, that you're willing to expand your knowledge, and the fact that you are putting yourself out there, that there are things you don't know and you're willing to learn about will also help. Yeah, that is my biggest mistake. Initially, not reaching out. Once I realized the power of reaching out to people, even if they're not the right people, they will redirect me to the right people. Like, I just never stopped. To this day, if I need any to understand any stats, I reach out to people because I am not confident that what I find is the right analysis. So I want people who know what they're doing to help me validate that. And I like people to help validate their validation. And then I'm like satisfied that I was probably on the right path. So yeah, big mistakes, hard learnings for years.
So, this very nice conversation. Thank you so much, Pavitra.